have three portions to our meeting. We have the prepared speeches, the table topics, and then the evaluation portion. If we could go over the roles, if we could have Luke explain his role as a general evaluator.
All right, good evening, everybody. So my role as the general evaluator is to just evaluate the meeting as a whole and time-wise, and then also I'll be calling on my very important evaluation team. That's my first evaluator, second evaluator, the timer, the all counter, and the grammarian to give their reports.
Thank you. If we could have the first evaluator, Diego, explain his role.
Hello everyone, I am Diego. I'm going to be evaluating David's speech tonight that's focusing on researching and presenting, and I'm just going to be following the cues from the evaluation form, looking at clarity, vocal variety, eye contact, gestures, audience awareness, comfort level, interest, and how I feel it's been researched, what level of research I feel David has done to inform his speech. That is my role for tonight. Back to you, Joe.
Thank you. Second evaluator, is that Maurice?
Yes, I'll be evaluating Olivia's speech and I'll be evaluating how she performed during the speech.
All right, thank you. And the timer's role.
Hello. My name is Carrie, and my role is to work as a timer. And the first two speech practice 7 minutes, and then use the green at 5 minutes, and it's 6, and then you are fine. And it's 6 minutes, and use the yellow at 6 minutes, and that means ready for the making a point or conclusion. And at 7 minutes, you see red, and time to wrap up. And the same table topics, 1 minute, and you see green, 1 minute, 30 seconds, yellow, 1 minute, red. Red light. And, evaluation, 2 to 3 minutes, and you see green at 2, and yellow at 2 and 30 seconds, and red at 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. And the all counter.
Evening, everybody. I'll be the ah counter tonight. So anytime you say ah or words of that nature, like hesitating through your speech, I'll keep a note of it and mark how many times you did it.
Thank you. Now the grammarian, Kyler.
All right, good evening. My name is Kyler. I'll be your grammarian for the evening. I'll be listening for the way that we use the English language, and I'll be listening out for something that sounds incorrect or an abuse of the English language. And I'm also presenting the word of the day. The word of the day is vitiate. That is to make something invalid, ineffective, or faulty, negate, morally degrade, or debase something. An example of a use of the sentence is, this magazine has been consistent in thinking the Prime Minister was either lying or exaggerating about the WMD, but that did not entirely vitiate the case for war. Thank you.
Thank you. And then the impromptu portion, the table topics, which is Diego.
Hello everyone, I'll be doing the table topics portion of our meeting tonight. We live in a table topics environment where we are not always have the time and the preparation to come up with what message we want to communicate. 9 times out of 10 when we are at a networking event or just hanging out with friends, we don't have the question prompt for us to think about what it is that we need to communicate to someone. Usually it is asked within a few seconds and you're expected to come up with a response. So this portion of the meeting is focused on making you learn more on how to think well on your feet for those types of situations. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you. So that concludes all our roles for this evening. We do have 2 prepared speeches, which is David and Olivia. And I would like to introduce Mr. David to his speech on how to reduce your frustration with technology.
Good evening. How to reduce your frustration with technology. I came across this article back this past summer by a man named Leo Notenboom. He was a Microsoft engineer in the early days of Microsoft. And for the last 15 years, he's had a website called Ask Leo, where he gives technical advice and helps people out with technical issues. If you want to read this particular article, all you have to do is Google Ask Leo, and his website will be at the top of the search results. When you go to his website, there'll be a little search box, and if you just type in the keyword frustration, it'll pull up this article. Isn't technology easy compared to what it used to be anyway? So the reason this article resonated so strongly with me has to do with my background. For 30 years, I worked for the Alabama Department of Transportation as a civil engineer in roadway design. And in roadway design, we put together plan sets for various roadway projects. If we were adding a turn lane or putting in a traffic signal or doing drainage work, that required plans and calculations. When I started my career in the early 80s, or the late 80s, everything we did was with pencil and paper, using big drafting boards, and we did all of our calculations with just a handheld calculator and pencil and paper. We did not have computers. At the end of my career, we were all using state-of-the-art CAD workstations. And CAD stands for Computer-Aided Design and Drafting. They were fancy computers. And we had sophisticated engineering software loaded on them. Well, let me let you in on a little secret. I am not good at doing things by hand on the board. I used to try to put together plan sets, and our plans we would draw, it was a big piece of plastic called Mylar. And we would use rulers and compasses and protractors to draw lines. And we had these unique, different kinds of ink pens that you would draw for different line weights. And my stuff usually just ended up as a mess. It was so bad that people would look at my plan sets and say that it looked like Big Bird from Sesame Street did them. I just wasn't good with it. So I became an early adopter for computer technology when it started coming along. And I loved computers. I loved how they could help us do things, how they made something that would take forever to do by hand, I could do in no time on a computer. And I was fairly good at using them. So consequently, I became the main technical support person for our engineering office. And in that role, the biggest complaint I would get, can anybody guess what it might be? What's the biggest thing somebody would complain to about someone that's using computers?
They're going too fast?
No.
They're using the software too quickly?
No, that's not even a good guess, but that's
You would hog the computer.
Well, that was, in the early days, that was an issue because we only had like 2 CAD workstations and lots of people that wanted to use it. But the biggest complaint I got was change. My engineers and designers hated it when we would come up, take their computers and put new versions of software on it. They just did not like change. So Leo's article, How to Reduce Your Frustration with Technology. This is what he says. Believe it or not, there is one thing you can do that will dramatically impact how well your technology works for you. Instead of getting angry and bitter about change, they're just doing this to make my job harder. What was wrong with the old program? It worked fine. Instead of getting angry about it, accept change, embrace it, learn from it, exploit it. See how it has made the world a better place. Enjoy it even. Angry and bitter, it's just is too hard, I don't want to learn something new. Or acceptance and embracement. And yes, this is a choice. Leo goes on to say, if you allow yourself to hate change, you will have a more difficult time with the exact same issues than compared to someone that accepts it. So why do they do it? Why do software companies and computer manufacturers always want to come out with something new, something different? Once we learn to use a particular software program, they come out with a new version that's just, everything's in a different place. Change is not malicious. Microsoft has no incentive to upset their customers, believe it or not. Progress equals change. The world of technology has progressed greatly, and as computers get faster, as things become more sophisticated, changes need to be made. And yes, sometimes companies screw it up. Does anybody remember Microsoft's operating system, Windows 8? It sucked. But a lot of times they get it right, and ultimately change is necessary. Back in 1946, there was the first digital computer, was called the ENIAC, was being used. The way the ENIAC worked, the way you programmed it or used it, so you had this huge board full of holes, plugs, and you had wires that you would plug into the different holes, and that's how you programmed the computer to work. Well, imagine back in 1946, if the people that were using these computers said, you know, I don't want to have to learn something new. I figured out how to put the wires in the holes. Let's just keep doing that. Where would we be today? Today we have this. This is a powerful computer. Voice to text. I can talk to this computer and it can understand me. Sometimes. But the world has changed dramatically and for the better. And I can't wait for the future. I'm really excited. I can't wait for Star Trek's The Holodeck. If anybody remembers that, that's what I'm living for. So to conclude, technology will change, ultimately for the better, but change is never easy. How we react to it is a choice. And there's a bigger takeaway here. And some of you probably have already thought about this, and Leo mentions it on his article. The bigger takeaway is that everything in life will change. And how we react to life's changes is a choice. Angry and bitter, or acceptance, embracement, love. It's a choice. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you for that speech. Good one. So now, our second prepared speech of the night is Ms. Olivia.
Well, for some reason, I thought I was ready, but it won't come on. Can you take a look at this from the data? Oh, maybe it's coming. Thank you. Good evening, Toastmasters and honored guests. I did my speech, it's a research speech, and the title of my speech is A Bridge Building with No Visible Means of Support. I'll start by saying, or asking a question, what is a bridge? Webster defines a bridge as a structure carrying a pathway or roadway over a depression or an obstacle, such as a river, a ravine, a road, or a railway. I want to talk to you about a famous bridge builder with no visible means, or built the bridge with no visible means of support. I picked this topic for 3 reasons. First reason was I was originally supposed to do my speech in the month of February, but so February, of course, is Black History African American Month. So the person that I'm highlighting is an African American. Secondly, my research paper is about bridges. If anybody that knows me or has been here and heard me do my table topic, there's a few things that I'm most afraid of. Number one is flying, which I do fly. And my second most dreaded thing is a bridge. I do not like bridges. So what else to do other than to face our fears? The third reason why I chose this topic is because we all are bridge builders, and anyone who has those that have heard me speak before know that I'm always into motivational speaking in ways that we can improve and help ourselves. So let's talk about this person. His name is Horace King. He lived from 1807 to 1885. He was an American architect, an engineer, and a bridge builder. He is still considered the most respected bridge builder of the 19th century Deep South, constructing dozens of bridges in Georgia, Mississippi, and right here in Alabama. In 1807, September the 8th, Horace King was born on a plantation in South Carolina. He was born a slave. In 1829, at the age of 22, a slave trader sold him to a man who saw something special in Horace King. His owner taught King to read and write at a time when it was illegal to teach slaves to do such. He became a highly accomplished master builder. He even emerged from the Civil War as a legislature in the state of Alabama. Let's take a look at some of the things that he's done. Does this look familiar to anybody? It's the capital, that's right. It's our state capital in Montgomery, Alabama. I went here I'm from Louisiana, so I had no reason to come to the state capital when I was a kid. But when I came to Mobile and started having my own children, that was one of the places that kids go, in the elementary school. So when I saw this and climbed the staircase, and my youngest is 21, so that was quite a while ago, and the first thing I could remember was no visible means of support. And what does that mean is you can't tell what's holding this structure up. It was built and designed by Horace King, and it's called a floating or a cantilever, no visible means of support. So amongst dozens of bridges, King also built 40 cotton warehouses in Florida, a 3,200 square foot cotton warehouse and in Georgia, and many other schools and businesses, most of which have been destroyed, demolished, but some have even been rebuilt. One of his most notable accomplishments is what we just talked about. Well, which was the staircase with no visible means of support. Well, what is a cantilever? A cantilever is a structure that has one end that's fixed and one end that's hanging free. What do we know about cantilevers, or when do you think you've ever seen a cantilever? Well, take a look at this. This is a cantilever bridge, a cantilever bridge. And you notice here that you have a supporting arm, an anchor arm, and then your cantilever arm, and then you got this big space in the middle with no visible means of support. That's the part that Olivia doesn't like. This is another look at a cantilever bridge where you see a structure here and a structure here, and those places look pretty sound. But what about the places in the middle? Does anyone know what this is? It's written right here. It's called the Crescent City Connection, or the CCC for those of us who are familiar with New Orleans. When I was a little girl, it was known as the G&O Bridge. I remember when it was reconstructed. And I have to travel across this bridge quite a bit when I go home. And this is the part that I don't like. No visible means of support. Tell me how all these cars are going to stand in here with nothing holding them up. This is another cantilever bridge, and this is in Jackson County, Alabama. The thing I want to share with us and get us to all thinking about is, how many times have you felt like there was no visible means of support? When you felt like, who's holding me up? Or how am I standing? Or what am I using? Or what's happening when the whole world seems to be crashing amongst us? Where is our visible means of support? And I'm here to tell you that we have to dig deep. It's our strength, our perseverance, our tenacity, our courage, our willpower, our inner self, our spirit and our soul. That's where we become cantilevers, or that's where we have to rely on ourselves and our spirituality, or whatever we have inside of us, to become that invisible support. There is a quote from a movie that I love, and the movie is Shawshank Redemption. And the quote says that you can either get busy living or get busy dying. So it doesn't mean that we're not going to make mistakes, we're not going to fall down, we're not going to disappoint ourselves or our loved ones, or do things that we're not so proud of. But what we have to do is remember that when there is no visible means of support, that we have to dig deep into ourselves and find that, because we all have, by definition, a bridge is something or a structure that goes over a depression or an obstacle. There's none of us in this room that's alive and well that does not have an obstacle or a depression that we have to go over. So when we feel that we don't know how we're going to get there and we don't know what's holding us up, we have to remind ourselves of the cantilever bridge, and that sometimes there will be no visible means of support.
Thank you for that. That was a good speech. So that concludes our prepared speeches portion of our evening. We had two great prepared speeches. And now is our impromptu or table topics. And I'd like to let Diego give us some topics.
Thank you, Joe. My fellow Toastmasters, one of the most important impromptu speech moments that we all have or will continue to face in our life is the job interview. So tonight's exercise is all about being ready to answer the tough questions, and do not let the fear of interviews vitiate yourself or decrease the likelihood that you will be accepted into this job that you've applied for. With that said, I would like to invite the audience, one audience member, to take a chance at the first tough interview question that I have for you tonight. By a show of hands. Oh. Okay, Ben?
All right.
Ben, describe your greatest weakness. It's going to warm under plastic.
Hello, fellow Toastmasters. The question posed to me was, describe your my biggest weakness. Well, I guess my biggest weakness is I used to be a little bit of a perfectionist, so I would kind of delay my decision making a little bit, and sometimes you have to make decisions in a job where you might not have all the evidence or all the information on you, and you kind of have to just kind of wing it and go with your best guess when you don't have all the evidence or people's advice that they give you. And you kind of have to just go with whatever you have at the time rather than waiting past the deadline and then submitting whatever you have. So sometimes the solution that you come up with isn't going to be perfect, and you just kind of have to go with it. So it's taken quite some time for me to kind of get out of that, where in a job you have to give whatever you have in order to meet the deadline in some cases. And sometimes you can go past the deadline, it really just depends. But overall, when your boss needs something from you, you have to give it to them in a timely manner, even if you don't have all of it on you. And it's totally fine to say, hey, this is the best thing I have right now. I don't know if it's 100%. Usually they're good with that and appreciate your promptness and your honesty with it. So that was probably my biggest weakness. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. I think you handled that question really well. It's good that you communicated, but you also spent some time elaborating on, well, this is how I'm addressing it, or this is how I'm making sure that it doesn't become a worse problem. Let me ask for another volunteer for the next question.
I'll take it.
Olivia, I want you to close your eyes. I want you to imagine right before you joined the company that you're working with now. And I want you to think about what you would say in response to the question, out of all the candidates, why should we hire you? All right, let's give her one round of applause.
Dear interviewer, out of all the candidates, why should you hire me? Because I have that inner skill, that tenacity, that follow through, that take action spirit that most people sometimes shy away from. I don't mind facing a challenge. I actually look forward to challenges. I don't need an audience. I don't need a lot of people around me. I don't need, I guess you should say, a cheerleading team. I don't mind getting in there and getting it done all by myself. I can work well with others, so I don't mind being around a group of people. I think I am a natural born leader, and I use that trait to my advantage, but as well as to the advantage of the company. If given the opportunity to receive this position, then I know that I will be an asset to your company and to the department in which I work.
Thank you, Olivia. You handled that question really well. It's good that you were highlighting all of your strengths, and it was very, very wise of you to include that concluding sentence of, this is the team, this is the skills that I would bring if I were to join your organization. So good job. Out of respect for the schedule, I want to ask for one more volunteer for one final interview question.
Can I take?
Yes. Your question is, describe how you handled a setback.
Oh,
All right, now let's go. Describe how you handled a setback.
yeah, describe how, well, the question is describe how I handle a setback. Well, to be honest, the first way how I handle a setback is be pissed off. That's the first thing first, I be pissed off. For a few seconds, then I have to think, like, you know, everything in life is a test, and it's all about how you're gonna maneuver through the journey to get to where you're trying to go, the destination. But I forgot the question. Is it how to handle a setback?
How have you handled a setback before in your life?
In the workplace, correct?
In the workplace or in life, yeah.
Okay, how I handle the setback. Well, I can be honest. You know, I grew up in a one-parent household with my mom, and she raised me and my two siblings, my older sister, my younger brother. So, I say how I handle setbacks. One of the most setbacks at the time in my life was going to jail when I was 19 years old for smoking weed. And I have nothing against weed or whatever anybody do, but I wasn't supposed to be in the space that I was smoking weed, so I understand the law fully and why I had to go. But anyways, I had to do 24 days in jail, and that was a minor setback because I didn't have no structure in my life. Like, my mom wanted me to go to college, I wanted to do something else, but that was a setback for me. But while I was there, I just read, I got my mind right. I was like, this ain't where I want to be, because I know better, I was raised better. So from that setback, I got out and hit the ground running. I had a daughter 6 months later, which I prayed for in jail. I prayed for a kid, something to slow down. And when it happened, I was pissed, because I was like, not by her. But anyways, I can say, by getting caught with that weed and doing that setback was the greatest thing that happened to me. So to get out and have a daughter and take full responsibility of my actions and to be a better man for her, I think I handled setbacks very well. Thanks for
Thank you so much. I think being vulnerable and having the courage to share that very personal story will resonate with whoever you would be interviewing, whoever be interviewing you for that type of position. So very well done. All right, thank you everyone for handling these interview questions, and a very big thank you to our volunteers. And I'm going to return the lecterns back to our Toastmaster, Joe.
Can I say something for a second?
Sure.
If y'all don't mind? It just dawned on me when I was up there, you know, I got kind of nervous. But I forgot that I wouldn't have said that in the interview.
No, I thought about that too. I'm like, no.
I'm talking to y'all, I got to do it. I'm like, the interview, I'm like, I wouldn't have said that. Yeah, I just got,
I was thinking that too.
I thought about the setback and it just took me here. I'm like, okay, I can get something good.
Well, that's what these practice moments are for, so you know what not to say.
Yeah, I
if you're a legit interview.
No, hell no.
Well, thank y'all all for sharing. Thank you, Diego, for those interesting topics. And now we go to our evaluation portion of the evening. And I would like to give the opportunity for Luke to come up here and share his evaluation.
All right, good evening, everybody. So I'll be the general evaluator for tonight. Before I give my evaluation of the meeting as a whole, I'll call on my evaluation team so we can go over the speeches and hear other reports. So, without further ado, I would like to invite Diego up to the lectern.
Thank you, Luke. My fellow Toastmasters, I'm very pleased to have had the opportunity to evaluate David's speech. David has done a really great job, been very emblematic new member, just steamrolling through all of these prepared speeches. So that's very great momentum to see, and it's great to see that not only that he's incorporating the feedback he's hearing, he's not only just working like a zombie and doing speech after speech after speech, he's actively listening through past evaluations and incorporating that feedback into his bigger speeches and the speeches that take place later. I think some good habits I want to congratulate David on. I think David is really good at incorporating hand gestures and communicating the speech topics or ideas. I think frequently you were using your hands in describing, an AutoCAD design or communicating, like, people are measuring things on rulers or compasses, things like that. That's way more visually pleasing and way more engaging and a great storytelling technique that you incorporated rather than just speaking without your hands at the side and just saying, and architects use these pieces of equipment for X, Y, and Z. I also liked that you were using a lot of opportunities to look at the audience. I felt that sometimes when you were looking at your notes from time to time, that was kind of breaking that connection that we were making with the audience members. So I would suggest that for the next speech you work on memorizing more and more of the speech for the next time. I thought it was very good that you were incorporating audience engagement, like you were asking for questions from the audience. But the one thing that I want to suggest you to think about for next time is, so I did ask a stupid question. I did provide a stupid guess. I'll be honest with that. I wasn't doing a good job of listening to what you were saying. But I think next time, if an audience member does say something stupid, you don't alienate them immediately. You could just say something like, well, not quite, or good guess, but I'm looking for something else. And I think it's really hard to say, because I think when you threw shade at me, when you made fun of me, like, everyone in the audience laughed, and that's good. But I still think that the cost of making me want to disconnect from the speech, I think that still kind of outweighs the fact that everyone for a moment was laughing at my expense. So that's something I would encourage you to think about. I don't think I have the right answer on this, but I think in my experience as hoping to be a future educator, I'm going to do my best not to alienate someone if they ask a dumb question, or if they give a stupid answer to something that I think is obvious. So that's something I want you to stew on, and think about for yourself. I'm not going to say that I have the right answer on that type of situation. But overall, David, I think it's good that you were applying hand gestures. It was clear that you're exercising really great storytelling techniques, and it was very wise of you to incorporate an audience engagement portion into your speech as well. Those are my evaluation talking points that I wanted to share with David and with you all tonight, and I'm going to return the lectern back to our general evaluator, Luke.
All right, thanks, Diego.
There we go.
All right, so now for our second evaluator, I will call on Maurice to come up to the lectern so he can evaluate Olivia's speech.
My fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, I will be presenting the evaluation of Olivia's speech on a bridge builder with no visible means of support. And I'll go over the general comments first. The speaker excelled at knowledge of the topic being presented, presenting the historical figure and how this person made an impact on society. You may want to work on a little more vocal variety and eye contact, and this is what I get criticized on a lot when I do a presentation with the laptop. And I think it happened almost every time. I was told to put the laptop in front of me so I could see what I'm presenting, and then you can point it out. So I've done that was my critique many times. And then the speaker did display more eye contact toward the end of the speech, and then challenge yourself, more vocal variety and eye contact. Now I'll go over the evaluation points on the next page. Clarity, the speaker spoke with lots of clarity, vocal variety. Most of the speech was done in the same tone. Eye contact, again, as I stated earlier. Gestures, moderate use of gestures. Audience awareness, the speaker saw the audience members' reactions to the speech. Comfort level, the speaker was comfortable presenting the speech. Interest, the audience found the speech very interesting. And then well-researched, the speaker thoroughly researched the speech topic. So with that, and with the content being presented, that was my evaluation of Olivia's speech.
Okay, so the evaluations are done, and now I'd like to call on the rest of our evaluation team, and I will start with our timers. Can I get the timers report, Carrie?
Okay. First of all, David, 7 minutes and 35 seconds. The second speaker, Olivia, 7 minutes and 44 seconds. In the table topic, we have a 3 table topic. So Ben, 1 minute and 33 seconds. Olivia, 1 minute and 1 second. You speak 2 minutes and 36 seconds. And then next evaluator. And first evaluator, Diego, 3 minutes and 31 seconds. And the second evaluator, Maurice, 2 minutes and 4 seconds. Thank you.
Okay, so next, I'd like to get a report from our all counter. Ben?
Certainly. Joe, you had 1. David, you were really good. I had to give you half twice because you kind of stuttered a little bit with the words, but I don't think that even counts. I just put that in there because I had to write something for you.
I kind of caught myself starting.
It was really good though, wasn't it? That's impressive. Olivia, you had 1, and then there was one time when you used so as kind of a transition. I don't know if you want me to mention that or not, just FYI. You kind of elongated the so, instead of like I guess, it kind of same thing. Diego, you had no odds or anything like that. Maurice, you had none. Luke, you had 1, and Donnie, you had 3, and myself, I probably had 4 or 5. so.
All right, thank you, Ben. I always find it hard to be the hot counter because I start to listen to the speech and I totally forget.
Yeah, that's what happened to me with the timer the other week.
So I just give everybody one. All right, thanks, Ben. Okay, so next I'd like to call on our grammarian, Kyler.
All right, so everyone did great this evening. There were, yeah, excuse me.
He had one.
I thought I was gonna get through the whole thing.
It's okay, there's next time.
Yeah, it's next time. Nobody said there was no abuse of the English language, which is a plus. However, there was only one use of the word of the day, and that was Diego.
That was a hard word though.
It wasn't a tough word. Some of the examples, they were like, I was like, I don't think I can sit and read the whole example and take forever. Just because it was just, yeah, like each one was like a paragraph. So, like, yeah, we did pretty well.
All right, thanks, Kyler. So for my general evaluation, so we started the meeting 1 minute late, but we took a 5-minute recess just to fill out the roles, and that's completely fine. I think we only took 2 minutes of that 5-minute recess, so the meeting started at 6:48, so just three minutes behind. We had 2 great speeches tonight. Olivia, I really liked how you tied in your bridge and your support of the actual structure and then relate it to like personal life. And I think we can all relate to times in our life where we kind of felt like we didn't have much support. So I thought that was great. Diego, I felt your table topics were awesome. Last week on my education overview, I was saying, kind of make them your own. That was a very relevant topic. And I think we've all been through scenarios like that, and we probably will continue to all go through at least a couple more job interviews in our life maybe. So I thought that was great. Both of our evaluations were very detailed, and those are very important. And our reports from the rest of the evaluation team were great. And I will relinquish the lectern back to our Toastmasters.
Thank you. Great job, everybody. I don't think we have an education overview. I think it's I'm sorry. I'm not reading the notes.
We're right on schedule.
All right. We have an education overview, which is Cheyenne.
Hello, everyone. Kind of writing this out like a speech. Bear with me. So this month's newspaper or last month's magazine came out and actually had some really good articles in it. I've been saving them and trying to take the time to at least flip through like a header article that's interesting. So this month, or February, excuse me, was about volunteering. So kind of just wrote a little prompting. So we are busy, our jobs, kids, our pets demand more of our time. There are so many activities and things we can do for entertainment. So if we are going to volunteer, why should we? Why should we volunteer? And even if we want to, there are many worthy causes to give our time up for, many good causes and trustworthy organizations to work for, or volunteer for, excuse me. So I'm a recruiter, in case you don't know. I recruit volunteer firefighters for the department I work at, for the fire station I work at. And this is a question that I have to think about very often, and I have to think about it through someone else's perspective when we're asking them to give their time, especially in a dangerous job. So I work on answering this question and work on presenting the benefits of volunteering, especially with my organization. So because our free time is so precious, unfortunately weekends go by so fast, I think it's completely understandable for people to ask, why should I give up my free time and volunteer with you? What is it going to do for me? This should not vitiate the importance of volunteering. But like I said, it's completely reasonable to ask, what am I going to get out of this? So this article actually helped me out with my job a little bit. It's talking about how volunteering improves your health. So you may not think of Toastmaster as a volunteer opportunity, but we volunteer our time to evaluate, to be a Toastmaster or an all-counter, and in return, you are volunteering to help people improve their skills. You can just come to the meeting, sit, listen, and you're not required to actively participate. But if you choose to give your time, then you are volunteering. So every day, Toastmaster members agree to help people in addition to helping them develop as speakers and leaders. And some of the highlights in the article. Recent studies have found that volunteering increases overall wellness, and results in longer life. Scientific results of volunteering include mental and physical benefits. So they did a study of 3,300 adults in the U.S., and 94% of those people who volunteer say that spending time volunteering improves their mood. 80% of those people say they felt like they had better control over their mental health and depression or other mental issues they may have been facing. And then 78% of those people said that volunteering helped lower their stress levels. Volunteers cited their ability to better manage mental health conditions such as depression. It also helped to enhance self-esteem, reduce isolation, and increase their ability to get involved with something in their lives. One benefit of Toastmasters is it gives you a group to belong in, to interact with, which is what ultimately I think we all want at the end of the day. It brings us out of isolation and gives us a network of people who are here to support us and help. We all have a common interest of growing and learning and becoming better versions of ourselves. So people find personal fulfillment when they are contributing to the lives of others. In this club particular, we help you with gaining self-confidence and offering meaningful evaluation and encouragement. So in your jobs, as we have talked about earlier in the meeting, you may just be receiving criticism or you're getting in trouble or whatever, but here it's constructive, it's not coming in a negative light. So I'll just conclude with, in Toastmasters, it keeps you constantly learning. And let's see, another health benefit to a physical benefit for volunteering, giving your time and helping others can decrease the risk of high blood pressure by nearly 40%. It can help with weight loss and prevent cognitive decline. And some studies are even showing that it can help improve cholesterol profiles. So more and more evidence is coming out that volunteering is very good for your health. It gives you a chance to not focus on your own problems and just kind of meet other people where they're at. It kind of also gives you a way to relate to people, and you might meet someone that's going through a similar thing that you're going through, and then you don't even know it until your paths cross in an opportunity that you took. So this helps, like I said, bring you out of isolation, help your mental and physical health. So thank you.
Thank you.
That ends that, and I'd like to relinquish the lectern back to our president from the board.
Thank you so much, Joe. Great work on being Toastmaster, and thank you, Cheyenne, for providing a nice educational review for us tonight. I have a lot of great pleasure today in celebrating two members today for important accomplishments that they have, but I will let our Vice President of Education, Maurice, do the honors of presenting these awards. So let's welcome him up to the lectern.
Thank you, Diego. I proudly like to present this first award to a relatively new Toastmaster, and got the 4 speeches done in a relatively quick amount of time. So this level 1 award in effective coaching, the certificate of completion will go to Gary.
I'm going to grab a photo for this moment. Let's see. How about, I want to make sure the logo's in the back. There you go. Yeah, I think spacing is good. Yeah. level 1 speech. Okay, let's see. Okay, one of these will work. Great. Okay. All right. Thank you.
The next awards will go to another Toastmaster who has been in the club for maybe a couple of years or so. And I have level 1, level 2, and level 3
All right.
in innovative planning. I guess you didn't get your pictures. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay. So these 3 awards will go to Diego.
Sorry, it's an iPhone 5S.
Jesus. Oh, no, you sure you want this one?
Is there? Do you have? Is your camera there? Okay. Okay. Maybe we should redo it for Carrie's too. Is that one?
Okay, yeah, we'll redo
Okay.
it.
Okay. Thank you, Maria.
Oh, thank you. Nope. Let me try it again. Yeah, there we go. That's how you should take them anyway. Okay, beautiful. Okay, one. There we go. Come on back up here. Oh, you got multiple to take, right?
No. Just well, let's skip to the 3, Maurice. Let's skip to the.
Oh, yeah,
to the
3, yes. Do the 3, yes.
Yeah. But we don't need to take 3 individual ones.
If we're gonna get that award in there. Okay.
Let's redo Carrie's.
Okay. What is that, an 11?
Hmm?
Is that
No,
11?
this is a 9.
Oh, okay.
No, this is a-
Okay, yes.
Big moment. We have to have the best cameras.
Yes.
All right. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Those are the awards that were presented, and I'd like to relinquish the lectern back to the president.
Thank you all so much. A big thank you to everyone who's done a role tonight, especially Joe, for following through on the schedule in order to make sure that we are able to celebrate these very important milestones for our members. Out of respect for everyone's schedules, please look at your Easy Speak account and be sure to sign up for the next important roles. We do have 2 prepared speeches in mind, so we're going to need 2 evaluators. So please, if you haven't had a chance to be an evaluator, now is a great opportunity for you to take your shot and learn what it is to be a part of the important evaluation team that Luke has mentioned before. With that said, thank you all so much, and we will see you all next week.